All right, everyone, we're going to get started here. Welcome to our 7th Tech Connect Thursday and final of this series, powered by WEtech Alliance in partnership with Invest WindsorEssex, FedDev Ontario, St. Clair College, the University of Windsor, and Workforce WindsorEssex. First up, let me introduce myself. My name is Adam Castle from WEtech Alliance, and I serve as our Director of Venture Services. I've worked as an economic developer for the past 10 years. I'm a former entrepreneur myself and serve as a business advisor to scaling companies in the WEtech portfolio. I also have the pleasure of overseeing the design and delivery of our advisory services that we provide to our community. I could not be more excited today to welcome in Red Piston. This is a company we've worked with for many years here at WEtech, and they've done so many big things in the city of Windsor and beyond. We're so excited to get the chance to talk to them. Now, Red Piston is this business that we've been working with for a little bit now at WEtech. And one thing that I can always count on with the Red Piston team is that they're always developing projects on the coolest bleeding edge technology and finding ways to make it work for some of the biggest brands in the world. Right now, Red Piston has 6 open roles posted for their team, and that's what we're here to talk about today. How do you join the Red Piston team? What are they looking for? And what is it like to be a Red Pistonite, Red Piston head? We'll find out in this talk. If you connect with the conversation we're about to have, we'll dive into what makes an ideal candidate for a Red Piston employee, and we'll figure out what the right term is as well. You'll find out what it takes to join one of this region's most innovative organizations. So buckle up and get ready for an illuminating conversation all about working in tech in YQG. So what is Tech Connect Thursday? Well, Tech Connect Thursday is an opportunity for those curious about working in tech and or those working in tech to make connections and learn about exciting career opportunities and industry sector insights here in Windsor-Essex and Chatham-Kent. You're going to check out the trends and initiatives that are happening in our region and beyond. Our goal here today is for you to meet some of the fastest growing tech and innovation companies from our region. That includes the people and the organizations leading the way across this tech industry in Windsor-Essex and Chatham-Kent. And ultimately, we hope that Tech Connect Thursdays help you plug into that Windsor-Essex tech scene. Now, to date, we have hosted 9 of these Tech Connect events featuring 10 businesses and organizations with over 650 students that have attended and professionals as well. Now, to be considerate and accommodate everyone attending today from across the region, thank you all to our attendees that are joining us here on Zoom. You might not be able to see the other attendees that you're with, but you will have ample opportunity to engage with our guests here during the Q&A session. So just a couple things on the logistics side before we get started. If you want to join the discussion, please feel free to use the chat feature located at the bottom of the video window to engage with session attendees. We also have Emily Roback from our team on hand, and she's going to be putting a whole bunch of really cool information about Red Piston and about the things that we're talking about here today. There's also a Q&A box located in the bottom of the display window. Now you can upvote questions that you want answered, and should you experience any technical difficulties, please just send a quick message in that chat box, and Emily is here and happy to help you in any way that you need. Finally, this presentation will be recorded. We are being recorded right now. So a video file and relevant links will be available on WEtech Alliance's YouTube channel and included in the attendee follow-up email for afterwards. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our guests from Red Piston today, Ali Al-Assam and Molly Braddock. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having Yeah, it's always good talking to you.
Absolutely, and happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with both of you.
The 4th be with you. Yeah.
I tried to get the
a Star Trek.
That's okay. You know what? Close enough, team. Close enough. We'll take it.
That was a test from Molly. She failed.
You failed. Yeah, you both are not true Star Wars fans.
No,
I tried to make the. You're in it. I tried to get the studio here with a couple of our Star Wars props, and that's about as far as I'm willing to go.
An effort, at least. What do we have?
We don't have
nothing.
I will tell you, I was this close to putting on my Leia buns and having those ready for this. It looks really weird with a bald head, so I just couldn't do it. But
the headphones right now.
You'll just imagine. It's probably breathtaking.
I'm wearing the sweater that Darth Vader wears under his suit.
People exactly. Very authentic. Yeah. Oh, he gets cold. You know what I mean? He does get cold. Awesome. Well, so glad to be talking to both of you. And Ali, you know what? I've talked to you a whole bunch, man. I don't want to know anything from you today. But what I really want to know is from Molly, who's a newer member on your team. So Molly, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit about who you are and what your journey has been like at Red Piston?
Okay, so I'm Molly. I've been with Red Piston. Next year will actually be 10 years, which is extremely crazy. I started here right out of school. So I went to Clair College for advertising and marketing. And I had a friend who worked here who highly recommended Red Piston. And I came in and kind of fell in love with all of the staff and the culture that they had provided in maybe 5 minutes of the interview. So from there, I've kind of taken the lead of doing social media and taken that core on and tried to expand it to what we are today. So I'm the project manager and I do all the digital marketing and social media side of things.
So cool. So Molly, you said you've been there for 10 years.
Next year will be 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, a decade. That's insane.
Not
That's
so
nuts.
new. Not so new.
Like, I think
Not
that's
so new at all. We just haven't connected yet.
yeah, I was in the background for a lot of those years where I just kind of really worked and decided where I wanted to focus my energy in the company. Which I love that Ali and Andy that's the kind of business they run here, is where once you fall in love with something, they will allow you to explore that and take that on. So I really fell in love with social media a few years ago and decided that that was going to be my thing. So I've pursued that and kind of taken the lead on that and pushed the company in that direction.
That's awesome. So in your industry and in your sort of vertical, spending 10 years anywhere right now is absolutely unheard of. And I think that says a lot about the company. And I'm really excited to talk about the company today because we can dig into those nuggets of how the heck did you make a decade out of this in a high turnover sort of field where you've just fallen in love with the team and with the culture that you're in. So super excited to sort of dive into that. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Molly.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm
awesome.
excited. Talking to me first, that doesn't happen often, so I feel special being the first one to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, we've
talk at all.
We've had enough with Ali, right? But Ali, now you're one of the founders of this company. You've seen it go through so many evolutions, and you know, we at WEtech have seen it change and evolve as well. Why don't you tell the world a little bit about the journey that Red Piston has been on and how it's shaped over the years?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because, like, from maybe a third person perspective or an outsider, it looks like it's a company that keeps evolving. But really, like, that was our MO from the beginning. Like, when we started the company, our background was actually more web, but it was kind of like chasing, like, what's the cool new next thing, innovative thing. So we were like messing around individually with iPhone apps, and this is before Android and everything. And then we just fell in love with that innovative aspect of trying something new. So we focused instead of web on mobile, but then we have evolved again from the outside, but it's all about finding solutions and innovating and creating innovations to solve those solutions. So like at our core, we're like a solutions provider, right? So the more kind of like innovations or things we learn, basically, the more we could provide service-wise, you know, like more tools to solve more problems or solve even the same problems in new ways. So
for sure.
Yeah, we kind of started with mobile, and it's kind of funny. Then we moved into like cloud and more web and building platforms and kind of circling back to being really proficient with web. Then we started doing AR and VR. And now we're even doing something new with photogrammetry, including using drones to kind of take images of land and then augment those pieces of land and then even smaller objects for projects. So we're excited. Like, that's the exciting thing about Red Piston, and what it gets me up in the morning and makes me want to go into work is like us as a team discovering new ways to solve problems. And then
that's why
for sure.
10 years.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. And I will say too, photogrammetry is a brand new word for me, so I'm gonna have to Google that afterwards. I'm not entirly certain that you didn't just make that up, Ali, but I'm really excited to learn more about what that looks like.
I forgot the internet exists.
Yeah.
Do you want me to explain it real quick?
Yeah, please do. That's really cool. And I know that the people that are attending want to know more about the stuff that you're working on.
So like with everything with Red Piston, photogrammetry and our dabbling in it evolved from, again, trying to solve problems in the most efficient way. So the problem was that we were doing things with AR and VR, and then the bottleneck became the asset creation, so the models. So as you know, like creating models takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we started dabbling really early into a technology where you can take a bunch of photos and then process that through an algorithm and then turn it into a 3D model. So basically now there's like cool catch names like digital twinning, and that's essentially what it is. It's like taking an object, in real life, and then taking a bunch of photos and then turning it to a 3D model, cleaning it up so it runs on a mobile platform, and kind of optimizing it. And then there you go. So now we've created like a much more efficient way to kind of create models. And that came in like pivotal for like the Canadian Tire project we just did, where they wanted us to like model 141 Christmas ornaments. And they thought that it was a crazy ask, and we were crazy to say yes to everything. And that was the way we solved it, because otherwise we would have been screwed.
That makes sense. So I did use that app over the holidays too, and got to play with it and set up our own tree and stuff like that. It was just so cool. And now I'm so glad that I get a little bit of an insight into how you were able to do it, because I did wonder, like, there is a lot of elements in this thing that that you made come to life in a virtual space, and it looked fantastic too. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
If you check out Instagram, we actually put a gigantic piston on the roof of our building using photogrammetry. We did that in our office. So if you want to see something really, check that out. It was pretty cool the way that to see how they actually made that work and put it on the roof. People actually thought we had a piston on our roof.
Yeah, including my mom.
Which was very a lot of the older crowd was like, how is that standing? Yeah. So it was
that's so good.
Yeah,
you get to work in the morning and there's just a group of people just looking for the red piston, like, where I saw it on Instagram. Is it here?
Yeah.
I
had like uncle who's like one of the top architects in the world, and he was like worried about the
like that isn't a safe load.
Yeah, the tolerance of stress on the roof, and I'm like, dude, no, it's not real.
What's the structurability? Yeah, I love that. So you're working on these really cool things. That takes an incredible team to come together and to create these solutions with you, but also sort of dig in and do the work. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Is you're looking for some additional teammates to bring in, work on these types of things. And so we want to dive into really, what does that look like, and how do you sort of be successful in a role at Red Piston? I think we got to start here, which is define your company's culture in 3 words or less.
Fun.
Innovative.
Creative.
Yeah.
Passionate. Sorry, I'm giving too many.
That's 4, and you can no longer participate in this talk. Yeah, Molly, you'll have to leave now.
Okay. No, I think that's what we got it. It's like, it's collaborative, it's fun and innovative, and that's what lets people enjoy their job here. Is you're always learning new things, and it's a team though at the end. It's
for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd like to add to that too, in terms of my experience with Red Piston over the years, and I'll add in professional, because you have on team, you've got this incredible sort of dynamic. It is fun. I've been out to events at the old space for sure, not at the new space yet, but where you've had like DJs and arcade battles and stuff like that, like just incredible. But I also know that you're working with some of the biggest brands in the world. So you mentioned Canadian Tire, which not a global brand, but definitely a massive Canadian brand, and one that's sort of ubiquitous with all things Canadiana. But I know you've worked with some other massive brands as well. And they look to you, know that you bring this creative side to things, but you also deliver. And you're also very sort of professional when you're managing those clients. And so I love that there's this balance at Red Piston that I've seen, over the years too. And you all come from, at least the ownership side of things, you all come from that background of agency, which is more stuffy, and you've been able to bring so much fun and then combine that with that professionalism that makes customers just like blow their minds with excitement in terms of what you're able to deliver. So I'm curious to know, what does a typical day look like for the team at Red Piston? What's that going to be?
Well, first we go on our coffee walk. That has to happen every morning. I just want to touch on that a bit, because we feel like every day you should be having a conversation with employees, or the staff should be connecting. So we kind of take that morning time to make sure that we all talk about the night before or the weekend, and kind of make it collaborative and say that we're all in touch and friends, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're all happy, right? And we like each other. So I think that's a strong foundation that we've built over the years, where everyone feels like they're very comfortable to share their life. You do spend 8 hours a day at work, right? So you want to make sure that you have a work family that you feel comfortable with. And I think that's why we've built a team that has been happy to collaborate and feels comfortable with stepping up and saying they want to do certain things. And that's how we've been able to expand the business too, is because everyone feels comfortable saying, I don't like doing this, I want to try this, let's do this, here's what I think. And we take examples, like someone sees the commercial in the morning, and then it ends up, we're doing, like, it inspired some project that we end up working on. So
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You know, I've had the chance to do a number of these talks this year so far, and all of the companies that you hear have like longevity and low turnover rates and all of those like good things that employees are looking for. They build everything with this like basis of trust, and it sounds like you have that at Red Piston. It's, you know, if there's disagreement that has to happen, that's okay, because you're able to express your opinions and your feelings, and sort of, you know, everyone works towards the best of the project versus their own sort of individual, you know, desires or needs or motivations. And I think that's so cool. So you start off with a why. What happens after that?
Ali, don't talk about
Okay.
So we usually do brainstorming. We'll sit together and discuss the project and see what we're doing for that day. Have a conversation, make sure we're on track with all of our projects as well. Something we pride ourselves on is being able to meet timelines and make sure that the client is happy at the end of the day. So our goal here is to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing, what the focus is, and then we get that done during the day. From then on, everyone kind of works, gets their stuff done. It's an open working space here, but we all talk between the day. We have headphones or not, but we also love laughing and kind of injecting fun during the day. So we do that too. And then that's pretty much it. It's always fun. That's why I said fun in the office space. It's because sometimes I work here during the day and I'm like, how did I get work done and also feel like laughing all day?
Accomplish something and I go home feeling good. Yeah, that's a great combo.
It's like something we missed in the whole COVID area where we were working from home and didn't really get a chance to collaborate. And I think that's something that's been nice in the last couple of months, is seeing each other's faces was something. I think creatively, it's completely different when you're in a room of people that are happy and want to collaborate with you. A computer and like texting can't do it. So that's something I think we do have a work from home option here, but we do try to come in most days of the week so that we can collaborate in person.
That's awesome. Yeah, I find, you know, we have the same with our team too. We worked from home, you know, 2.5 years, and now we get the chance to like come in. We've got an open working space too, and it makes everything so much smoother when you're working on, you know, projects together and having to sort of bounce ideas off one another and stuff. It feels too much sort of siloed sometimes when you're just on your own or talking into a computer screen at the end of the day.
It's too easy to miss messages too. It's like you're typing at each other and it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, Molly likes the fact that she could come out of her office and then like yell at people that might be.
Yeah, I can yell
including me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like we could ignore her silently.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Now she comes out and she makes herself known.
Yeah, it's tough to ignore that. Yeah. So when you're looking at new roles, you've got 6 sort of listed on the site. Tell us about those. What are you currently hiring for and who are you looking for?
Yeah, we're always looking for good collaborative employees who like to learn in general, like from a high level. And then if you want to go more specific, we're always looking for good designers, good developers. We're in no short need of that. Like there's always projects to come down and we need to have more people on them. And so that's about it. I mean, the first thing we look at is someone who gets along well with everyone here and knows how to collaborate and fits into the culture. I don't think that's really hard to fit in the culture because we're so like loose and laid back that like from the interview, sometimes even I got to catch myself because in interviews, I'm like, I think I'm joking too much. I should be doing a set during this interview.
Yeah. Is this a bit that I've just created? Yes, it is. Yeah.
But I feel like that eases the tension, you know, especially people are coming in nervous, and it like creates kind of like a feedback mechanism for me to see that person in a more comfortable kind of zone too, and engage like how they would fit in.
Yeah.
And then the big thing besides fitting in and getting along and whatever is just that like the type of person who likes to learn. You know, sometimes people are like, I want to just do this one thing, and that's kind of like we look for at Red Piston. It's more like, you know, what do you want to learn? And it's so like open here that we have things we've learned, even myself, from the team, and then the other way around too, where I'm trying out this new thing and then we end up doing that for a client or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like that's kind of what Molly touched on, right? It was like she spent a decade just learning as many different sort of aspects of the business as she could to really hone in on where she's passionate about and able to sort of deliver the most value to the team. And it sounds like you provide your employees with a lot of leeway to do that, to explore things and figure out what's best for, you know, ultimately the clients, right? And the business itself.
Yeah, like Molly's like the perfect template for like an ideal employee. Like, no, but jokes aside, because that's
for a
true.
raise.
Yeah. Oh God, I said too much.
Yeah. Now's the time. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, but jokes aside, like that's her thing. Like she pushes the team and pushes us, and we're part of the team. I don't feel as like myself as not part of the team and above the team. So that's what's nice about it. Like everyone's pushing each other, and we're like a team. Like I feel like we're more like analogous to like a soccer team rather than like a company.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
I agree.
it's a weird example,
Family,
but
family.
yeah, it's like a family that plays soccer.
Right. It's just
Be a fan
it's
now.
weird when everyone's kicking things around the office, but aside from that, it works pretty well. Yeah. So tell me, Ali, you alluded a little bit to the interview process. You like to take some of the scaries out of it by sort of taking it a little bit easy. But what does that interview process look like? I've submitted my resume. Maybe you think I'm a good fit for the team, or you want to sort of learn a little bit more from me. What does that look like for me to get in and start to do the interview process?
Well, I mean, you as a candidate, how do you get an interview with us? I mean, it's the same like every other company in terms of submitting a resume. But obviously what we are looking at even more than a resume usually, and I think a lot of companies are doing this now, is like breadth of knowledge with actual work. So like a portfolio or something like that, even with programmers, like your GitHub account or your Bitbucket account. And then, that usually gives us a view into at least your technical ability. And then you could speak to like interviewing creative.
Yeah, so
I don't really interview creative.
On the creative graphic design side, so we always do a few interviews where you meet high level people, then you'll do another one where you meet the team. We bring in some more people to make sure you mesh with the other members, and then we'll also implement a test. So usually it'll be some sort of graphic design test where we give you either like create this logo for the brand and we give you a few options, or create this advertisement for a company, something that we do so we can see your skills, right, in a limited amount of time, see what you can do, where your creativity level is at. And I know that seems a little scary, but we're not always looking for the best piece of design. We're looking for the creativity, right? So if your idea is there and you come up with something very awesome in a short amount of time, we know that you have this cool brain and where your mind is at, which is something that we love here, is people who can think out of the box kind of quickly and just like jot something down that is like, we're like, what? How did you even come up with that? So we like doing that kind of test just to see where you're at, because we can, something we have dealt with before is that we get people that come in and they provide graphic design from years ago or group projects, right? And we're not really able to tell where your ability or your skills are at based off of a communal project. So we kind of like to see where you stand out as a person and what your graphic design skills are. So that's where it comes from on the design level.
Awesome. So really it's like curating your work, being able to show it off, showing that you've got aptitude for this stuff. I think about, so Emily Roback, who's on our team in social media, and she has her own site, and it's a site that has all of her portfolio, things that she's developed. And that was sort of part of that interview process, was like showing that off. And I can't, I think, underscore how important that is, right? Is one, be proud of the things that you're able to do, but two is actually show what you're made of, instead of just sort of writing it down on a resume, right? It doesn't always communicate the best way that way.
Yeah, that's like the first thing I say to any candidate, or not any candidate, I mean, anyone that's a student body that they put me in front of for some reason to talk to, which is always a big, but
which is usually a mistake. Yeah.
Always a common question. They always say like, how can I get a leg up, or what do I need to do? And I'm like, the simplest thing is like, put the proofs in the pudding, right? Like put some work together, and I would recommend even give yourself something fun, so your motivation level's there. So be it a game or be it anything like that you will actually stick with, and try to finish it, because we actually glean quite a bit from your GitHub, not just like your coding proficiency, but even when we look at it from a high level, we could tell if you have like the wherewithal to stick it out, because some candidates will see they have a lot of projects, but you could see like it stopped somewhere. And so I would advise everyone to just like put some projects together, finish them up, and then you'll be proud of that too on your own regard, and we have something to look at.
That's, I think, important is execution, right? Making sure that that's there. And then maybe it isn't about having a billion different individual products, but having a few that are actually, fully baked.
Polished and fully baked. Yeah.
One thing I want to add to that is that we usually ask the question is like, are you willing to learn or do you want to learn? That's something that's in our interview process, right? Because we always want people that are, when you don't have something to do, let's say there's downtime, our preference is that you're learning or you're watching YouTube or you're going and searching out these new technologies that maybe it's not on our forefront because we're busy working, right? So we want to make sure that they're out there looking for things that are on the cusp of coming up in technology that we haven't really got our eyes on yet. And that way they can kind of tell us and we can get our eyes on that and expand in the future. So we always want people that want to learn or can keep learning, right? Not necessarily in school or taking a course, but just looking around the internet and exploring social media and stuff like that. So that's a big part of it as well.
That's fantastic. So, we're going through this sort of checklist of things that someone's going to need if they're having an interview with you that'll make it successful. What are some of the things that you would say, like, definitely don't do in the interview process? Those top tips of like what to avoid.
What to avoid? That's a good question.
Say that you don't want to learn.
So, yeah, don't say that you don't want to learn and you're very narrow-minded about stuff.
Always be confident. We can tell right when you come in when you're not confident with yourself. I would say try your best to just be yourself. That's something that we always promote, right? We always can tell and we have a vibe with a person who is being themselves and is confident in what they're doing. So don't come in and try and be something that you're not, because a lot of people feel like they need to project the image of what they think Red Piston is, right? From online, but just be yourself. Because we like that. We
try not to like conflate your skills and exaggerate too much. That's one thing I would highly advise, because like, at least I didn't really go into my interview style, but like I kind of do warm them up and with a lot of soft skill questions and joking. But then eventually I start trying to like poke holes into what they said they know with really detailed, like low level. And we do a programming test too, but it's very basic. And so a lot of people will exaggerate what they know, and it's really easy to suss that out in the interview, because I know the stuff. There was a point when I was interviewing and I was kind of like a little rusty, but I realized like I have to learn this stuff, because then how am I going to even ask the question? Because we're realizing people said they know it, but we weren't asking the right question. So now that we do that, just don't exaggerate. Even sometimes you have an interview, people exaggerate about what they created, and then we'll look later and like, oh, they didn't do that, or they didn't do this part of the project, or they so you lose credibility and trust like right off the cuff
quickly, right? I feel like it's, there are jobs where you can fake it till you make it in certain aspects, but you're in an industry where it really is like it's on execution, it's on aptitude, right? So it's like if you're saying or padding your resume a little bit with things that you think you're able to do, or you can have an understanding of what it is but no idea of how to actually do it, like that stuff comes out in the wash pretty quick, right?
Oh yeah.
And goes back to the point of learning, right? We would prefer that you say you know how to do certain things and you can grow with that, right? We can teach you how to do the other parts of it. If you know basic, great. We like your attitude and we like what you've done, then we can work with you and teach you. And that's what we want to do here. We want you to learn and grow with us. So as Ellie mentioned, like don't lie, and we can help you with growing in the company. So that's a good point.
Yeah, very because cool. We train people too now. Like again, something we learned, and this isn't like the recent history, I'm talking about like just 3, 4, maybe like 5 years ago, we would, interview, not ask the right questions, hire someone and not train them. And then we start to realize, like if we're going to hire a programmer and they don't know X, Y, platform, why don't we teach them? Why don't we give them a crash course? Why don't we like distill our knowledge? That was another reason that like we started to become more like low level learning the platforms, including myself, everyone. So that way we could distill that information as efficiently as possible to the candidate and spend like a week or two, even just like literally giving them a crash course.
Very cool. That makes sense. And honestly, that's a great way to go about it. If I'm new into a role and I'm looking to, to onboard, being honest about what I want to learn more about is definitely going to get you in the door and get you some, more favorable reviews on that review score. Is there anything I've missed or anything that you want to tell potential employees or applicants before they submit a resume to your team?
I'll let you take this one.
Just that we are always looking for people that want to learn. I know we touched on that a bit, but it really is what we go for here, being passionate and wanting to expand your your knowledge is something we highly recommend when you apply at Red Piston. Again, reason I've been here for so long is because they've really built a business where you feel comfortable with growing. So if you're that person that wants to grow, learn, be part of like always ever changing technology, it's really exciting to work here. And that's something I love, right? Like photogrammetry is something like you said, I had no idea what that was. He brought it up and kind of talked about it. Now I'm interested in it and I want to do, but I'm doing a million other things, so I can't. So it's really cool to be part of a team that's constantly evolving and doing this kind of stuff, because you want to stay here, right? And you want to learn about this. And we start to think like how we can give this to our current clients or new clients that are coming in. So if you want to learn, this is the place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the key thing, is that like I believe in like not just growing in terms of your career, but like growing as a person. And the big part of growth as a person is like learning new things. Like in my opinion, that's like what life's about, right? Like learning new things. And you kind of like don't realize that till you're older. Then you're like, you want to learn stuff. You were forced to learn in the first stage of your life, half of your life. So that's like why we look for that, and why it's fun to work here, basically. And what makes it different than other places probably is that a lot of times, again, it's an employee here that's like, check this cool new thing out. And then I'll be like, oh, send me the link. I want to learn this too. And then next thing you know, we're both like in the trenches, like going nuts, and Molly's in there. And then we're like, let's try to pitch this to someone.
Yeah.
I love that. So with that, I mean, you probably have so many cool insights with your team, always bringing these new sort of opportunities to you. What do you think are the key technologies that are coming next that are really going to shape the future of digital experience?
Yeah, I mean, what a loaded question.
Ali is doing all this stuff right now. I'm telling you, this guy is on like,
all of us as a team.
No, but I mean, he's the one on the forefront here coming up, providing this technology. He has an amazing brain where he comes up with these ideas with the AR and VR technology that we were able to use with Canadian Tire, for example, and photogrammetry. I think this kind of cool 3D headset kind of stuff is on the forefront here, where I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming out in the future with that. AI, ChatGPT, all these kind of new technologies that are coming out that you can implement in projects and with new clients. I think those are.
But it's so cool how like things dovetail into each other, because Molly's thing and her brain good too, not just my brain, is that like the social media, and then taking that to the next level with like drones. Why don't we do some drone footage? And then now we have we have people on the team who do a brilliant job of putting the videos together, and she's got a great eye for like what people want to see. And now that's kind of trickled down to my area, where it's like we could use the drones and do this technology to superimpose things, that are not there, and all that sort of thing. So like, I think what you're going to see out of us and out of a lot of companies in the future is like more things where we're doing the augmented reality, mixing, blurring the lines between reality and the digital world. We'd love to do more AR and VR, and it's only getting better. I feel like in the next 4 years, Apple will come up with some really lightweight mixed reality glasses that will be kind of like how the Apple Watch is, and paired to your phone, and just give you like a whole new outlook on life, like literally. And then the big elephant in the room is artificial intelligence, which we're dabbling with right now, and integrating OpenAI's APIs with an app we're building currently that we'll release in the next few weeks.
Note on that, I think people are scared of AI a little bit, or there's a lot of people that are unsure of how that's going to work. But something at our team is like, we look at it as something that can help us, right? And how can we use it to further our business and not be scared of it, right? We want to take that and use it to our advantage. And yeah, there are some scary parts of it, but there are parts that we can use to our advantage, right? And provide to clients and make things better for them. So something that we've been really working on lately is taking that AI that's being given to us and how we can implement it in the business in a positive way, right? And create these cool things that are going to come out in the future. So I think that's something we've been working on, and we will continue to work on in the future, is using AI to our advantage and not being scared of it.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think, with any new technology, right, there's always going to be a faction of people that are afraid of what the impacts are going to be on it. But I think going about it in this way of like sort of embracing it to see what kind of opportunities you can uncover using it really makes sense. And I can speak from the vantage point of working with, we've got over 170 clients in our portfolio right now. And a lot of them are using it for really interesting things. So, double checking their coding work to make sure that there's no errors. In some cases, like helping to write code and getting them to a certain place with their technology that they wouldn't be otherwise without hiring on, a whole development team, or taking the skills that they have and using AI, generative AI to sort of augment that, give them additional sort of tools and additional sort of insights and stuff. So there's so many amazing ways that you can leverage it, well beyond just asking it to, type out an email for you, but really sort of getting creative and just playing around. And I think that's the spirit of Red Piston, right? Is like looking at things and how can we play around with this until we find a use for it that actually, makes us money at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what I think they've built since the beginning, right? Is using this technology and how they can make it their own and make it work for clients. And that's why they've been so successful as long as they have, is being able to implement this stuff, right? Because like I said, people are scared of it and they're not. They want to take that on and make sure that we can.
I'm a little scared.
He's
not gonna lie.
He's like, but I mean, that's what the core of Red Piston is being innovative and taking these things and making gigantic projects out of it, which inspires me. And I think the rest of the team here too, is that we're able to be like, maybe we're a little scared, but they make it better by being like, no, we're going to do this. And we're going to make it work. We're going to make it cool and people are going to love it. So I think that's what sets us apart a little bit from everyone else.
I think that's, if I could hazard a guess, that's probably what your clients think about as well, in terms of, you show them what's possible with this technology that they probably never even imagined could be applied to the stuff that they're doing. And then you take away that, the risk of fear around, implementing those types of things, because you're already working on solutions ahead of time.
It's the trust level, right? They always say like, we get so many times, they're like, we trust you. You do it. We trust you. We trust everything. We've seen it. We've done it. You do it and you make it work. So we love when people say we trust you. That's one of the biggest things.
That's awesome.
We love that word when clients say we trust you. Like everything's in your hands.
It's always nice to hear.
Oh, for sure. It makes a big difference, right? It makes your job easier.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're down to the Q&A portion of this, and we're going to be taking in the questions as they come in. But we'll do this sort of in tangent with something that I want to call the creativity gauntlet. So, Red Piston, all about creativity. What I want to do here is I'm going to give you some questions, and I'm going to task you as individuals who work in this space to come up with some out-of-the-box crazy solutions for me. Does that sound fun?
Oh, that's
yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. There's no points. There's no winning. There's no prizes. None of that. But here's the issue. If I'm not pleased, I get to come play the Red Piston arcade cabinet for as long as I want. And you both have to stand behind me and tell me how great I am at video games.
Absolutely. We can do that with
But you're not getting access to the bucket of quarters. You have to put your own change in there.
Money goes
Fine. Fair enough. I have nowhere else to put those coins anyway. So
yeah. College, bro.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Does the bank still give change? I don't know if that's possible.
Oh.
We'll have it tap to play.
We'll figure it. Sounds good. All right. Okay. So as a mobile app developer, how are you designing an app that helps people stay motivated to exercise regularly?
That's you.
That's a good. How do we? Okay. Maybe it just constantly notifies them to get off their butts, and then it's are we supposed to be creative and just make up something?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, blue sky your team.
You can record your trainer's voice, and then it uses AI to emulate your trainer and yell at you.
Okay. All right.
Notify you. You'll hear your trainer's voice on your watch that is connected to the app.
Right.
That sounds, it's like something my mom would set up to remind me of things that I'm not doing that she needs me to do. It's like, remember to do the taxes.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
We could somehow tie in a headset in there too. Maybe you can wear that headset and like to stay motivated. You can watch other people working out, which makes you want to work out, right? Because you always feel like you want to be.
Ooh, okay. All right. What about an augmented reality app where you put it on and you're now working out with other people in this group and you can sort of see them do the thing?
That's actually like one of the ideas we pitched once to Movati, like our clients. And we were saying like, what if you can put on a VR headset and we can put like a cadence tracker on like your spin cycle, and then you could be, spinning your cycles there, but you're actually flying through like Renaissance era Italy, and you're like Da Vinci's kind of flying copter or something like that.
I need that in my life. Yeah.
So that's like one thing I'm super like interested in, because I'm like a lazy piece of crap. You know this. And I found the only thing that can motivate me is like throwing on my VR headset and playing like Beat Saber. And the way I compare this to soccer, like when you play soccer, why is everything soccer? I mean, when you play soccer, you don't think you're doing exercise. It's a sport. You call it a sport, but in the end, it's exercise, right? So that's the thing that we want to do next is like with Movati, ideally, is like
The headset.
try a pilot program with headsets or AR, or even like, like the part of the app where you could put it and it ties in and there's like imagine a Flappy Bird sort of game. And when you do curls, you're like the birds flying up and then flying down.
Yeah.
I like that. I like sort of bringing in the gamification aspect to it. Okay, so here's another one. As AR/VR experts, which we've been, sort of touching on here, how are you going to create an immersive experience that allows users to explore a specific historical event? So in this case, let's just say it's the Apollo 11 launch of the rocket. How am I going to experience that in AR/VR developed by Red Piston?
Apollo 11. Well, we would probably model that down to a T, and including doing the research to see exactly how you would operate the simulation. It depends on the audience. If we want to make it fun and arcadey, maybe we don't have it where you got to flip every switch, but try to keep the level of attention, or not attention, tension that was there with the real mission. And then have that be like a fully immersive VR experience on the Oculus Quest. That would be like pretty badass. And it could have elements of like that old school game called LEM. I don't remember that, Lunar. Yeah, where you you have to have the thrust just right.
Yeah, that game was so frustrating.
Yeah. Now imagine that, but with like physical handles and hand tracking, and you actually use your hand to like grab the controls. Now, and then what would be really cool is if we actually had a physical cockpit there, so it's super immersive, because that's another thing.
Awesome.
By that too, by doing like you'd have certain levels, like if you do take stuff off the ground and stuff, you get points.
Yeah, you pick up things.
Yeah, like you can have levels.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
My thought going into that question was like, how are you gonna show me the experience? Like, how can I watch from the landing strip this thing happen? And you were like, no, we're going right in the cockpit. Like, I'm putting you inside.
You're going inside. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like that.
I was like, you gotta go in.
Yeah,
I love that a lot. One other sort of gamification question. So, a lot of what you do at Red Piston is helping your employees to learn things. So let's say you're coming up with a game for your employees that teaches them a complex skill, something that's really hard to grasp. How do you do that in an entertaining way?
That's a good question. I mean, I would actually use my recent experience with Duolingo as an example. So like my daughter got me into Duolingo, and she's learning like how to read and write Arabic. So she got me back into it, which is funny. But they just did a great job of like gamifying and taking the best elements of, almost like the free-to-play model, but with learning. So, and I think the key thing is to not make it onerous and not make it intimidating, and kind of baby steps. So they do a great job of like these little carrots, little pieces of information, like building it up and giving these little achievements. And it's even all in the little nuances, like the sound effects, ding, all these things that make you happy.
Those casino, the serotonin.
Yeah, it's almost like a dopamine. Yeah, like what the casino does with the the one-armed bandit, right? The same kind of premise. So like that would be the thing, is like taking a complex thing and then breaking it down to its essence, and then working backwards to see how can we get them to over this learning curve, but with this, dicing up the information in a fun way, and then keeping it fun, entertaining, and as least intimidating as we can. What do you think?
Really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be cool to get people to have like an experience level, right? Like when you reach these platforms, you're like an RP enthusiast or something.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
Or you get a real in life, like what's it called?
Leaderboard.
Yeah, like we have a leaderboard where these people can track and have fun with it, and it's a little less intimidating and more like a family fun experience.
Yeah, like that's, again, Duolingo does that great. It has a feature with a streak, and I'm on a 51-day streak, by the way. But share that, and my daughter's always like proud of me because she's like at day 70. So that's a good motivator, right? So it's like you have something that's not intimidating. You have something that is dicing up the knowledge into digestible pieces. You have something that's fun, and now you have something that's motivating you.
That's awesome. Honestly, I think if you're an employer that are listening to this talk and you're looking for some really interesting ways to train up your new employees, contact Red Piston, because they've got some cool ideas on how to make that so much more enjoyable, because
Sure.
no one likes training, but when you
Yeah.
make it fun, it turns into something different. So
And and to jump off your point, we have like the skill set to bring that enjoyment and fun to the immersive level of VR. So like, imagine how fun it is. Like actually, I toss it around the office, but KFC, they didn't really like advertise it or publicize it too much, but they did this training game. I think it leaked to the public, but it was a VR training game, and it was basically like an escape room with Colonel Sanders, and it was like ominous. And you had, but they were slowly again taking complex things of like how to use the fryer and everything and making it fun. And that is like was inspirational and blew me away. And it was immersive because it was VR. So like when you go in VR, I mean, I don't know if you've tried the VR version of our Canadian Tire thing. But in my opinion, it's like worlds better than the mobile offering we made, because it's like just being able to grab something with your hand and throw it on a tree or throw it around a room is fun right away.
Oh, for sure. We have a question here from the Q&A. So beyond HTML and JavaScript, are there specific programming languages that you're looking for aptitude in when someone's applying for these roles?
Yeah, like we lean heavily because we do more interactive things on people who know C#, because our kind of like game engine of choice is still Unity. We might play around with Unreal, but it's more Unity. So C# is good to know. From the web side of things, we've kind of been a PHP leaning shop. And so JavaScript, PHP, HTML, CSS, that's kind of our stack. And then, yeah, we're always like when someone, if we're hiring for web, they can have an aptitude for the deep backend, like down to the server in terms of Linux and knowing the way around Linux. And maybe hopefully even dabbled in AWS or some sort of cloud based product. But yeah.
Got it. So like well-rounded, but yeah, some type focuses in on the like interactive type platforms and engines.
And for mobile, I should actually say, like, if you know Swift and you know Java, then like we look for those two, obviously.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. That's great. I'm sure that information will be useful. Team, that's all the questions that I have for you today. So thank you so much for the time. Thanks everyone in the chat for the questions. And if your question was not answered, we'll encourage you to follow up with our guests on LinkedIn. Also, they've got a great sort of social media presence as well. So you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram. So there's lots of places to reach out to the Red Piston team. Huge thank you today to Ali and Molly from Red Piston for sharing your insights and advice to students and professionals from across our region. Honestly, team, it's always an absolute pleasure to get the chance to talk to you. So thank you so much for being here with me.
Likewise. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Come down, play the arcade.
Yeah, the whole team should come.
I will. We're bringing my quarters.
We answered some things not to your satisfaction. Don't worry. I know we'll pretend.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, before we say goodbye, I do have a couple important announcements to make to the attendees today. One is that you're going to get a follow-up email from us in the coming days with video link and any resources discussed in today's session. Two, your feedback is super important to us, so please take a quick moment to answer the following poll that Emily is going to throw up inside the chat, and just make sure that you get that out there for us. Really important to know your experience about this and what you think about the information that you learned today. And we, in all things we do here at WEtech is we always want to get better, we want to improve. So your opinion matters quite a bit. If you have any other feedback, please feel free to share that at info@WEtech-Alliance.com. And this concludes Tech Connect Thursday. So thank you everyone for attending. We really appreciate your time today, and I hope you've learned and enjoyed today's session. A big thank you to Emily Roback on the back end for helping us out with event production today, and always, and until next time, stay connected and keep innovating.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great job, team. It was so good chatting with you.